The first one is like being punched in the clit with a gift bag of awesome.
This is I Don't Even Own a Television, Forever Pucked.
You sounded really exasperated.
There are books that are good, there are books that are bad. There's some books so fucking awful you wish you never had read them at all, 'cause a novel can ruin your life. Hey buddy, I don't even own a television.
Welcome to I Don't Even Own a Television, a podcast about bad books. I am J.W. Freeman.
I am Chris Collision.
And we have a guest this time around. It is Rachel Millman.
Hi!
Hello.
Hello! Thanks for having me back.
You have the sunniest entrance of anyone we've ever had on the show, which is kind of, it's a good comparison to our overly cynical nature.
Rachel, why so down today?
I know, right? It's like terrible outside too on the East Coast as well, but you know.
You do what you got to do.
You do what you got to do. And I'm in a better mood because I have been sick all week. I've been sick most of the week. So it's nice that I'm not as in awful spirits today.
That's good.
We'll see if we can dampen those spirits with a long conversation about a really good book.
Before we get started, I just want to remind folks for the first time, this show is brought to you by our subscribers on Patreon who make this possible, so thank you.
Woo, thank you very much.
And this week we're talking about a book that I'm sure probably by now all three of us and many listeners wish they had not read.
Oh my God!
It's called Forever Pucked by Helena Hunting, not Helen Hunt.
I wish it were Helen. I would love Helen Hunt's take on being the horniest hockey wife of all time.
I mean, and this is the fourth book in the Pucked series, which I assume makes this the new hope of the Pucked series. So it's totally okay that we're jumping on with episode 4.
After we picked this, we did a little bit of a reader's poll or a listener's poll for our subscribers, and this was the book that they chose. I went and read a couple reviews before I read it, and almost all of them were like, "Don't start with this one. It's the fourth in the series. You're gonna miss everything." I have to say, I don't really feel like I missed much.
I feel like I did okay.
Okay, so
Rachel, how did you feel? Did you feel lost?
I honestly, I really thought I messed up when I ordered the book because a thing I do whenever I'm on this show is I do not get a Kindle edition. I force myself to outwardly have to maybe read it in public, especially with this cover. But lucky me, I was sick on the toilet all week, so that's where I mostly read it. But I remember ordering it and being like, wait, we're reading the fourth in a series?
Oh, yes, we are.
And then you read the first chapter and you think about the fact that apparently this author needed 3 preceding novels, full-length novels, to explain these two shallow people have sex a lot.
Oh yeah.
I think it's tough to say. I'll let you behind the curtain in a second about how this particular one came to get picked. I think some of the earlier novels might have focused on other people in their little clique.
Oh, I think you're right, because they have it's definitely this Sex in the City of hockey girlfriends.
Yeah.
The impression I immediately got. And it seems like they have the Lily focused one and the Sunny one and the Charlene one, and now it's the other.
Now it's Violet's turn.
It's Vi's turn.
It's the fourth porno name. Yeah.
Yeah. So this got picked just because one of our readers brought a screenshot to our attention. She had apparently bought enough stuff that Amazon was like, oh, here's a micro genre you might be interested in, hockey romance, and she just sent us a screenshot. And this one was first on that list, and it was just something along the lines of, Alex has a giant hockey stick in his pants. Not kidding. World class. This thing is huge. It was 4 sentences in a row about how big his hockey stick was. And it just we put it up for a vote, but with that excerpt, it was obvious what direction everybody was going to go in.
And it should be mentioned, I think right now, this is going to be a little blue, I guess. So for those at home or in your car or whatever listening, if you're not ready to hear a lot of different new names for penises and vaginas, you might want to find a different podcast.
It was so I'm not, I don't even want to use the phrase shrinking Violet because the character's name is Violet for starters, and I can't believe they didn't make that pun throughout. And it's such a pun-heavy book. but I just felt like I'm not. You can say I work blue a lot of the time. I have a foul mouth. And I was in shock at some of the things. Like, I kept, whenever I was, like, around the same person who I read this around a lot, I would always just, like, outwardly groan, and they would be like, what now? What is this awful book saying to you?
Oh, man. Yeah.
I actually, not to... Well, maybe it's time for some high points and low points.
Do we need to do plot in 60 seconds for a book that is basically porn?
Actually, I think we do, because this is a pretty plotty book.
Okay, so who's on deck here? Rachel, do you want to try it, or should we go with our in-house plot in 60 seconds?
I'll go. Let's do in-house, because like this is actually, it's like, because you don't.
Oof.
It's because it's just fucking.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But so I'll give it to in-house on this one.
Okay. I'm gonna take the pass on this and charge the net. So I'm ready. I think those are two things that have something to do with hockey.
And that is more hockey than we will get in this book.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
Alex is a hockey player, and Violet is his fiancée. She loves hockey players and sex. Alex loves sex and talking about his own penis and how much his balls ache on the regular. He sends her a giant stuffed beaver because that's romantic to celebrate their sexiversary, which is a thing that happens in this book. And then she decides that they should get married. However, she attends a hockey game and he gets horribly injured, and she and her friend Lily, who is the girlfriend of his teammate Randy Balls... Jesus Christ. Her name is Lily White Balls, by the way. They go to the hospital. It turns out he's okay, but he might have lasting brain damage, and it's making him violent, but that's all right because in this world, that's incredibly sexy. Then he gets better, and they get married at the end. Everyone's really happy. Throughout the book, every 20 pages, there is graphic sex for about 10 pages. I think that's it.
It's super graphic. Like, I really think that the woman who wrote this should have been a consult on 50 Shades, because she obviously has more experience in the arena.
I mean, people who listen to this show definitely get a kick out of it when I get made uncomfortable by sex things in books, because it happens a lot. I was like beet red reading half of this, literally. And I have a beard, so if you can tell that I'm blushing, it's pretty intense.
It was just like so, like when she calls her clit her beaver button.
This reminds me, Rachel, before the show, you asked me to do a piece of research, and I didn't tell Collision what it is because we're gonna play a little short game here. Let's do a closest without going over here. You just give me your estimate of how many times you think the word beaver appears in this book.
Oh, wow. I know from other reasons that this book is 308 pages long.
Yep.
This is going to sound weird, but I am going to guess 300.
Oh, you're actually over. It's 117, and that's still pretty fucking amazing.
I'm sorry you didn't get to guess, Rachel.
Yeah.
Well,
she already knew. I told her.
Okay.
The middle third of the book really focuses on, like, a traumatic brain injury, so there's not as
that really
much
pulled it
beaver
down.
chat.
Well, and what we didn't mention, maybe in Plot in 60 Seconds, is that this is a book with a full arsenal of postmodern literary techniques, including shifting narrators. So we alternate. And while, so I'll just say this, the chapters narrated by Alex are, beaver light in terms of using that term. But I bet you if you penciled it out, it would appear once per page if the whole book were narrated by Violet.
That makes sense, because, she definitely is frequently referring to her own quote-unquote beaver. And, I'd say about 117 out of a 300 and something page book. You are on pace for a beaver per page if this was all Violet, I think.
Yeah, basically, if you have the book opened up to 2 pages at once, you will see beaver at least, like, there you can find, it's the world's easiest word search.
Yeah, and is it... and if you're curious, there are maybe 3 instances where she is talking about the dam building mammal.
Yeah, the rest of it is cutesy, uncomfortable sex puns.
Cutesy, uncomfortable sex puns. She also has a beaver vibrator that is in the shape of a beaver.
That was horrifying. That was absolutely horrifying.
I agree with this.
Enough said.
other people enjoy. But I can't imagine, like, getting down into the nitty and the gritty, not to make Jay even more uncomfortable. I can't imagine getting down into it and having, like, somebody, like, on the verge of, like, putting it somewhere and then saying, like, ooh, do you want my beaver? Like,
oh, no, yeah.
That's like, you're just having sex with a South Park character.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
That's...
And like about 2/3 of the way through the book, there is what I would guess is a little bit of authorial fatigue, and she, needs to start experimenting a bit. So we start hearing not about the beaver, but about the beeve. And that is most often described using the following 3-word phrase, my drooly beeve.
Jesus,
oh,
man.
yeah. No, calling it drooly is so... like, as a person who is a part-time nanny and has dog walks, like, I don't want to think about drool. That's
right.
So nasty.
It's not... That's not even on the top 10 list of erotic body fluids.
No! And again, like, people can do whatever they want, however they want, whenever they want to do it. It's fine. That's just not my thing. Maybe I'm a prude.
They can do whatever they want, however they want, whenever they want, but I wish they would talk about it a little bit differently.
I know. No, like, calling it drooly is just like, oh God, it's so gross. It's so gross. I can't believe how gross it is.
Agreed.
And I'm a gross person. I, like, to put it flatly, most of the time I spent reading this book was while I had diarrhea, and the book was the way grosser thing going on.
Okay. In my experience...
Jay is suffering. Oh my God.
I am. In my experience, if a beaver is drooling, it's probably rabid, and you should call animal control immediately.
Well, yeah, I mean... Like, I know that they're trying to go for this cool reversal of, like, she's, like, the bro, and he's the sensitive one, but, like, she's disgusting.
Yeah.
She's gross.
Actually, everybody listening at home, please remember, he's supposed to be the sensitive one when it comes time for my dramatic reading.
Okay.
Oh,
let's do high points,
that's
low
exciting,
points,
that's exciting.
Before we get too far, we need to put some structure on this discussion with some high points and low points, so here is some music.
High points are high. And low points are low. High points, low points, get ready to go.
Okay, sorry. I know I got a little overbearing there, but it's because otherwise we're just going to yell, ooh, gross, for 45 minutes, because that's kind of my instinct with this book, as well as to run screaming from it with my hands waving in the air.
I mean, that's kind of the fun of it, is that, like, whatever we read, we're going to just be sitting there like,
yeah, exactly. Okay, so I will go first here, and let's start things off positive with a high point. For me, kind of relating back to something we talked about earlier, I said this book proceeds briskly at a pace of 2 beaver jokes per page. This was written before the traumatic brain injury part, but I feel like it's a good depiction of a book that does not stop moving forward at a rapid pace, I think because the author is really eager to get to the next fucking scene.
Oh yeah. This book has sex scenes like Mac Bolan has killing people scenes.
Yeah. Helena Hunting is the Jack Reacher of sex.
I should have come back through and just tried to tally up the sex scenes. But there's
at least
so many.
There's at least one per chapter.
There's at least 8 if you're talking about just actual people having sex, but if you're talking about lengthy discussions of graphic sex, it probably numbers in the 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impressively. It's like, I mean, it's clear that this is like fan fiction that went through a copy editor. And I don't know, I've read way worse fan fiction, like by far. So for fan fiction, it's not that terrible, but it's definitely like, okay, I'm really into hockey. I'm a Canadian housewife. This is my fantasy, whatever. Which is, again, like I don't have any qualm with that whatsoever. And for the most part, except for, like, some problematic stuff with, like, her constantly being terrified that her boyfriend is going to stick his dick into her butt without consent.
We're gonna get there.
It's way less problematic than, say, like a 50 Shades representation of sex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least it's completely consensual.
Oh, this is beyond sex positive. This is like sex way turbo enthusiastic.
Yeah, it's sex enthusiastic.
This is shame with hockey sticks.
Yeah. So you were saying that's your high point, or
my high point? Okay, so my 2 high points are the fact that
just one at a time now.
Oh, it's one at a time? My bad.
Yeah.
My first high point is that for the most part, even though it's gross and nonstop, none of the sex she writes about is like has a problematic undertone.
That's true.
Like she appears to really get off on good communication, which is perfectly fine by me.
Yeah, and everybody in the book is enjoying themselves. There's no reluctance or weird stuff to make you feel creepy. So
yeah,
that
exactly.
Is a positive. Collision.
Yeah, my high point was, I read this while traveling, and there was sort of every page while I was reading it had some kind of what the fuck moment where I could just like shove it in front of whoever was next to me and be like, read this ridiculous trash. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did the same thing too. It was a lot and then it became like, I need you to stop reading this to me. This is disgusting.
All right, I have my first low point here, and let me tell you, it was tough to narrow them down. This is a repeating phrase that's used in the book, not near as frequently as beaver, but is even worse, and it is the frequently employed phrase jizz breath. Which happens about, I'd say, 20 times in the book. There are long discussions between people about whether or not certain foods make semen taste different, and it was around that point that I became convinced this had to be written by a 14-year-old boy. But nope, it's not, so now I know. But, I mean, these are conversations that middle schoolers have in the locker. Like, oh, hey, I heard if you eat a lot of pineapple, it makes your stuff smell funny, and like, oh man, there's nothing sexy about that. That's just weird and gross. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe once again I'm being a prude as usual, but I did not like it. How about a low point from you, Rachel?
Oh my God, there's just so many. A low point for me was probably there's just give me a second. Give me a sec. I guess one of the low points for me is all the talk of how, like, the weird intersperses of, like, how she can't have dairy. Maybe it was just, like, personally hurting my feelings, because currently I have it felt like I had mild dysentery, so I was like, I don't need more of a reminder of this. But, like, I think it's, like, the first or second chapter where she goes out to, like, dinner with her girls, and they're like, shouldn't you not have cheese or onions? Like, your shit is going to smell for 36 hours. And that, to me,
actually have this highlighted.
Speaks to an undiagnosed case of IBS, and, like, she should really take better care of herself.
An additional really shitty, part of this is that she's got a cutesy term for it. Like I said, I have this highlighted. I just want to go ahead and read this. Mm-hmm. I'm moping because I won't get to see Alex tonight. Eating dairy is how I cope with stress and disappointment. However, it will also cause me to moop later.
Moop?
Moop. M-O-O-P.
I think that's a sound the Herculoids make.
Dairy is hard enough on my system, semicolon. Add onions to the mix, and I become lethal to anyone within a 10-foot radius.
I'm just jumping in here because this is actually the first note I made in this book was about that paragraph. It said, oh good, I really wanted to read a long passage about how mozzarella sticks can give you gas.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God. Like strong agree with that low point, Rachel.
Oh, they keep I actually the note I wrote was diarrhea most relatable. I think it's page 40. Hold on, let me find it. There's a really gross part. Oh yeah, let me read this out loud in terms with the dairy and the smut, so the people who didn't read it can get an idea of how non-hyperbolic we're being. Let me start. Okay, so the context is that the hot, rich hockey boyfriend player made her a bagel with lactose-free cream cheese, and he's giving her a ride to work. Violet's in the car, scarfing down her bagel as I slide into the driver's seat. She puts her hand up to cover her mouth. This is so good. Extra creamy, the way you like it. I stretch my arm across the street so I can rub the back of her neck while I pull out of the garage. The maintenance guys have been by again, so the driveway is clear, but the streets aren't in quite the same condition. So creamy, I feel like I owe you a blowjob or something for denying the Super MC this morning. Reader's note, she called the Super MC is the Super Monster Cock. It's her cutesy nickname for his penis. A person she's been sleeping with for a year.
Yeah.
He misses your mouth, I say, like my dick is actually a person.
Whoa!
Violet's named him, she dresses him up on occasion, and she's made a Play-Doh sculpture, so I suppose in some ways he is his own man. No, wait, this is the part where this gets grosser somehow, and I like Jay being uncomfortable.
That's frightening, though. If someone made sculptures of my penis and put costumes in it and stuff, you're dating a dangerous individual, Alex. Anyway, sorry.
Wow, you're
That's
gonna hate
because
your
I give seriously awesome blowjobs. She takes a bite of her bagel and cream cheese squeezes out of the corner of her mouth like Jizz would if she happened to decide to go down on me in the car.
All right.
It's so nasty.
That was a hell of a long low point.
Yeah,
it was totally worth it, though,
Absolutely.
man. I think people at home have a much clearer idea of the shit that we just read.
Oh, yeah.
A hell of a long low point is what she would call depressing sex. Thank you.
All right.
Oof.
Collision.
So my first low point here is actually kind of encapsulated in what Rachel just read, where by and large the sexual politics of this book are not that bad, but I really could have used a lot fewer "oh, you sex because you did something nice" references.
Yeah.
I didn't love.
Yeah.
And it was like, right in there, like, I feel like I owe you a blowjob for making me a bagel. And
man, if the world were really that simple.
Yeah. So I didn't like that. Let's keep it negative for a second. Let's keep it on low points. A major low point for me, as somebody who was kind of in the driver's seat for picking this one, I wanted more hockey. I am not convinced that this author knows anything about hockey.
I don't think so either.
The hockey scenes were not convincing, although I did look up one very nuanced point about penalties that she got right.
Oh.
So I was surprised by that. But there just was not enough hockey in this hockey porno for me. So that would be my second low point. I was very disappointed in how little hockey there was and how inaccurate the hockey seemed to be.
Okay,
Chris,
Rachel,
this
do you have
is
another?
maybe an easy shot, but are you the guy who's pissed because they haven't fixed the cable at the end of the
Yes! I just, you know what? So we talk about this a lot. Let me digress for 1 second.
Okay.
We talk a lot about how it's not funny just to reject the premise of something.
Yeah.
Right? And so, basically, I am the premise liker.
Yeah, you're all in on hockey, on the hockey part of the hockey romance, for sure.
If you set it up with "this is a hockey romance," I'm like, great. Let's hear the word "slapshot" at some point in this book. Let's he's a center. The centerman position does two crucially important things that no other forward does. He takes face-offs, and he has to play defense. He plays the whole length of the ice. It's maybe the hardest single position. Mm-hmm. Alex is explicitly described as a centerman over and over again. There's nothing in there about that. The premise buyer right here was disappointed.
Yeah, he never clears the puck.
Exactly. It also doesn't understand how star players who play the same position in hockey work. It's a 60-minute game. No forward plays more than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
There's plenty of minutes for everybody. This book doesn't understand that. Major low point. Helena Hunting, I say thee nay.
It also doesn't seem to understand that the majority of hockey stars don't have names like Randy and Alex and are more frequently like Boris's or I'm just
There's a lot of
you cannot
Svens in
blame.
hockey.
yeah.
I mean, she lives outside Toronto.
Yeah.
She is a Canadian. You cannot blame her for writing her porn about Canadians. Like, that's fine.
I love the fact that we've now just devolved into calling this porn, by the way. That's like the third time it's happened.
It is. It's totally, it's porn for people who like the concept of porn but are afraid to watch it.
Okay, hold that thought because I want to talk a lot in the second segment about what this book is, but for now, it's another low point for you, Rachel.
God. I would say another low point, I think, is the unnecessary office politics.
I forgot. Yes, you're right.
Oh, we skipped that, but we'll yeah.
Yeah, unnecessary. Like, I mean, honestly, if you're gonna write porn, keep it porn. And like the weird, like, oh, Jimmy and Dean, the two guys named after sausages. Like, keep messing with her at the office. Like, I didn't need that. I didn't care about that. I was a little curious if Jimmy was gay or not. And I liked
they're coded as gay.
And I wasn't sure where she was going with the part where I thought the fedora look was out, but Dean seems to rock it. Right. And like, I don't know if she's like making fun of them or what, but like, I didn't get it at all. The characters weren't fleshed out, like, and I know I'm complaining about this in a book that's porn, but I just, like, it wasn't necessary.
There's this major thing for the first, I don't know, half of the book. There's two very large work-related subplots that we didn't mention in Plot in 60, right?
How did I miss them?
But there's one, because I think it's Dean is the bigger jerk, or maybe it's Jimmy, puts in Violet's head the idea that Alex is going to ask Violet for a prenup, and this really freaks her out and destabilizes her. The other thing is she's got this giant presentation coming up that basically amounts to a promotion at her job, and it involves one of Alex's teammates, right?
Yeah.
And like dozens of pages are devoted to setting up how difficult both of these subplots are for Violet and how meaningful they are.
Yeah.
And both of them end with literally a half-page conversation.
Yep.
Right? At one point, she just like wakes Alex up in the middle of the night and is like, do you want to make me sign a prenup? And he's like, nah,
Nope.
babe, I love you. And it's over.
Yeah.
And the other one, like, she doesn't want to quit her job. Alex wants her to quit her job. She gives her presentation and it goes so well. Her boss says, that was great. You got the promotion basically, and you no longer have to come into the office.
The magic was inside you all along.
Exactly. And they never mention her going to work one more time in the back half of the book. So it's just like these nominal plot obstacles just vanish halfway through the book, and I almost like that in kind of a postmodern twist way. Like,
I'm sure that was the intention.
Actually, a lot of your problems could be resolved with an adult conversation, you know. But
Yeah.
that's not actually how the book worked, and it was really annoying.
Okay, my turn for another low point here, and for me it is, this is from my notes, fruit roll-up sex, no, this is the least sexy thing.
That's a yeast infection waiting to happen. I'm sorry.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, yeah, you don't want to put fruit roll-ups down there, no matter which side of the equation you're on. No, don't do that. Yeah, it's a scene where it's described as her making a cape for Super MC. Yeah. Out of a fruit roll-up, and I mean it ends just short of her putting googly eyes on his dick, and I don't know, it really skeeved me out. I did not like that part either. Are you noticing a trend in my low points?
Actually, I think she might have put googly eyes on his dick.
I was not reading closely by that point. So.
Anyway, yeah, that's hella low.
Yeah.
All right, let's end the segment on kind of a posy note. Jay, what have you got for us?
Okay, this one for me is, this book has solved a mystery for me that's existed my entire life. I was born in the late 70s. I was a kid in the 80s, and I lived in a beach town. And in that town, there were a lot of stores that labeled themselves as adult bookstores, because this is kind of before video was really a prevalent thing. And at the time as a kid, I could never figure out what the hell was sold in an adult bookstore, and I think I've cracked the code. So that's my second high point. Rachel,
awesome.
How about you?
I think another high point for me was the fact that she decided to keep some characterization besides like horny and basically a dude but with huge tits. That she made sure that she wanted her to be like, I want to keep my job, I want to maintain some part of myself. I thought that was an actual, like, okay, you're doing, I don't mind what you're doing, keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, although I will say that as far as conflict, it felt a little manufactured because Alex really at no point is ever pressuring her to not have a job. It's just something that the narrator keeps saying, like, he's not going to let me stop from having a job, whereas throughout the book, I believe the phrase he says something is like, I totally respect and love the fact that you do the things you want to do, or something. And she's like, you wasn't going to tell me not to have a job.
Yeah, they kind of Magic Mike him. In that,
oh yeah, they do.
They totally Magic Mike him because in the second one is like all of those guys talking about their feelings, which is like woof, phenomenal. But they totally Magic Mike him, and that he's like, I respect her and love that she's independent and gross.
Oh man, yeah. How about you, Collision?
That brings me to my final high point. This book like really broke my usual categories. It really broke my usual process. Mm-hmm. Like I literally had 3 lines of notes.
This book has broken me because I just started giggling when you said that.
Here are the total of my notes. 1, twisted imagination. That's somewhere from the acknowledgments. 2, lady balls. That's in the dedication. 3, this is about 20 pages in, hugging his wood with my beaver.
Oh, that was also another one of my least sexy things notes. So yeah,
it was right around then that I just sort of like gave up on my usual process and just kind of like slid into the experience. I gotta say, I basically liked this book. It was trashy as shit. It was dumb as shit, but it took no effort beyond like giggling, turning red, and trying to keep the nice young lady on the plane next to me from seeing what I was doing.
So the thing that you were saying about notes, I want to read a few of mine because this may be the only time where most of my notes are just revising the same concept over and over again. And it starts with, my beaver needs something to hug, maybe the least sexy thing I've ever read. Later, scratch what I said before, sexiversary is far less sexy than the beaver hugging thing. Where is it now? Shit, I'd flash my mother-in-law. She saw my naked beaver. This is less sexy than the things before. Drooling beavers. Holy Christ, is this Cronenberg? And fruit roll-up sex. No, this is actually the least sexy thing. So that was kind of my thought process. I don't know. Do you have any notes you'd like to share with the audience before we go to break, Rachel?
Most of my notes are just like, what I do for notes is I just write down page numbers and I go to them. I wrote down that it was ladies' night with a lot of tequila in like book form. I really liked the not brand name sponsorships that Alex had. Power Juice and Sports Mind.
Sports Mind, that was it.
Sports Mind was really, really good. It was mostly just like, once I got, like, because it took me the first couple chapters to be like, all right, this book is gross all the way down. Yeah. And once I got over that, I was like, all right, this is just really goofy.
Yeah.
It wasn't, like, it was definitely, like, disgusting, but I wasn't as uncomfortable as I expected to be.
Yeah, there's an acclimation process for sure. After about 20 pages of it, I started to feel kind of inoculated against the word beaver, and it stopped feeling as weird after that.
I don't know. Once she introduces drooling, like, this is again, like, people can do whatever they want to do. The butt stuff was the least gross.
Yeah. And speaking of butt stuff, let's go to break.
You sexy thing, you. I believe in miracles. Since you came along, you sexy thing.
All right, welcome back. We're talking about Forever Pucked. A clever portmanteau. No, I'm just kidding. Forever Fucked?
A Helena hunting mystery.
I think the mystery is whether or not I was going to die of embarrassment before finishing this episode or not. So far, looking good.
The mystery is will this randy couple finish their game of hide the salami?
What if this was a mystery and Poirot just popped up halfway through? He really rocks the fedora look.
I would love it if she wrote like a takedown of like alt-right Twitter with Forever Cucked, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I think you need to be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can find her email address and pitch her, and 3 weeks later, you will have a fully realized 300-page novel that goes places you don't understand or expect.
So I want to get back to discussing something that Rachel brought up in the last segment. Before we do, I want to kind of clear something up in advance here, in that, we recognize, I think, Collision and I, and Rachel too, that this is not necessarily a book for our demographics, our specific demographics. So I don't want anybody to think that we're judging the target demographic of this book. I do want people to think that I have no fucking idea who it is, and that's what I want to discuss a little bit, because we've read books in the past like Scruples, say, and that's like a sex-heavy romance book, but it's very obvious who it appeals to and that I am not that person, but I can understand why it works. This book, however, is so fucking graphic, but also so juvenile, that I'm just really at a loss to figure out who's actually reading this, for real, unironically. To the point where I have a Kindle version. There are a ton of popular highlights in it of just, sexually explicit stuff that's been highlighted by 50 people. I don't know if they were joking or not.
I have a theory.
Okay.
And this is based, like most of my theories, on having read, the back matter of the book. So in the author's description, it mentions that she writes in a lot of genres. And one genre that was called out was just sports rom-com.
Uh-huh.
And that made a lot of this kind of click for me.
I see.
Right? That's kind of why the heroine is clumsy. That's why she's always saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
That's why there's all this goofy stuff at work. Because she's, it's comedic. It's supposed to be funny. The sex is probably better than the comedy.
Yeah.
But that really, like I said, congealed the book for me.
We're kind of in the realm of Miss Congeniality, a XXX parody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also saw a lot of kind of early OO's era Apatow grossness. Not to say that grossness still doesn't show up in his movies, but I Googled the Goodreads reviews on it.
Okay. Oh man.
And it was a lot of very, very, and again, I just to back up as well. I want to Jay. I want to thank you for saying that disclaimer too. Is that we do not judge the demographic for this at all. If this is what people want to read and this is what makes them happy and this is their fantasy realm, I'm genuinely glad. Good. Have a great time with your weird, gross book.
As I say, whenever this sort of thing comes up, I enjoy professional wrestling. So anyway, to continue.
And I'm 5 minutes away from saying, I basically enjoyed reading this book.
That's true. You are the demographic, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I have the weird things that I flip out over, I have, a whole file on my phone dedicated to pictures of Rami Malek, so, who am I to say shit? However, it's weird.
He's a handsome man.
He's so pretty. Oh, my God. But it's, so the Goodreads I found were, I think it's a lot of women in their, mid to late 20s, and then I think it's all women in transitional states. It's women in their, mid to late 20s before they're, settled down and married, or it's women who are, in, the meat part of their marriage, or their kids have gone off to college.
Okay, yeah, I mean, earlier you mentioned Sex and the City. I think that's probably kind of a good touchstone for the dynamic of the book. I guess in a lot of ways it's just filthier. But the friendships and the conversations, Yeah, the friendship conversations, the way they try to have them occupy tropes of I'm the sensitive one or whatever.
But I also got a lot of, I mean, you guys went over this too, this is okay, we saw your fan fiction, it did good numbers, we'll print your book. This is fan fiction. This is the fan fiction community, but for hockey. And there is, I'm sure you guys are aware, I mean, if you guys aren't aware of this, there totally is, a vibrant community of like hockey groupies and like women who are obsessed with hockey, and this is for them.
Wait, one of the competitor books that we had people vote on that lost to this got no votes, and I realized after the fact that was my fault because I just had recognized that it was straight up fanfic about an actual player.
Oh dear.
And that was funny to me because I watch hockey a lot. But if you don't know that, you're just like, why is this book about Shane Weber from the Nashville Animals supposed to be funny? And I'm like, because that's explicitly a book about Shea Weber of the Nashville Predators.
Is he related to Pete Weber, the professional bowler who does the crotch chops?
No, he is not. Actually, he might be. Pete Weber could be Canadian.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wanted to say, just to kind of piggyback on all this, is that when I was, say, about a quarter of the way through this book, I started feeling a little bad because I really felt like we were mocking someone's self-published fan fiction. And I went online and Googled it, and luckily that is not the case. This book is published by Simon and fucking Schuster.
Really?
And the
I
author,
couldn't even find it in the book.
Yeah, the author is a New York Times and USA Today bestseller. So
oh yeah, I don't feel
we
bad.
Aren't punching
like,
down.
She's a bestseller. This is, I'm sure we could find clips of it somewhere next to the crosswords in In Touch magazine. But like, and again, like it's whatever, you do what you want, lady, and you made money off of it, and I didn't. So good for you.
Okay.
But yeah, like all the good reads I got were like, I've been following this series forever. Despite the fact that this book already had, like, its headcanon worked out, I was still along for the ride.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So, I mean, I think that's what HEA stands for. I'm not as up on my fanfiction terms anymore. But, so, like, it's half fanfiction, half, like, oh, God, what's the term I'm looking for? Half
bad?
Wish, that too. It's half fan fiction, half wish fulfillment, which that's what fan fiction is, but it's for a very specific subset of fandom, which shows that you can bilk any fandom for money if you want to.
Oh yeah. I think I've mentioned before on the air, but I've always thought if things get really dark for me, I'm just gonna make a zombie themed rap record as Chew-Face the Infected, because people who get really into zombie shit are like really easy to separate from their money. So
oh my God,
anyway.
I've never seen so many T-shirts of like one dude with a crossbow in my life as I have whenever I walk into a Spencer's Gifts. It's like, it's complete, like, as a person who doesn't watch the show, like, it's so off-putting, and it makes me never want to get into it, but maybe that's my own irony, like, ruining my sincere enjoyment of things.
I don't know. I think you're on the right side of this one. I did want to bring up, this is just something I noticed when reading it, and it doesn't really fit into any of our segments, so I wanted to mention, I'm sure you two and everybody at home, for the most part, are familiar with the concept of the Bechdel test, which is a book where, you know, or a movie, and looking at that and seeing if you can find any two female characters having a conversation with each other that aren't that isn't about a man.
Right.
It was created by a lesbian cartoonist named Kate Bechdel. It's really actually very, very salient. And, you know, it's obviously not the only metric to judge a piece of fiction, but it's an interesting one.
I mean, honestly, yeah, I love it because it's just such a low bar.
Yeah.
I know! It is the lowest bar to cross, and most films don't.
Yeah, it's a male feminist walked into a bar. It was really low.
Exactly.
Anyway, I just wanted to introduce what I'm now calling, in the spirit of Mad Magazine, the Bechdel test, which is whether you can find any conversation between two characters in this book that is either not about sex or is not filled with sex puns. And when I first got this in my head, I was doing pretty well. Then we got to the hospital scene, and I'm like, oh, well, this will be it for sure. But nope. Like, even when people are having conversations with each other about traumatic brain injury, they can't do it without double entendre out the ass. It's fucking horrible.
I mean, there is a lot of that. But again, like, so maybe I'm too easy on this book. You know, not hard enough on the beaver, but
Settle down, Beavis.
every iPod has now been thrown across the room.
Isolate that. All right.
But I didn't mind that because it is, I think, fundamentally meant to be operating like on this kind of comedic register. But I do agree that it is fucking possible to take seriously the hospital scenes because of that.
I'm going to say, I don't want it to sound like I'm not giving this book credit for trying to be funny. Like, I'm aware that it's trying to operate at that level. I hate these kind of jokes.
Yeah.
Like, I just find it so obnoxious and juvenile. I mean, it really is like... I don't know. To me, it just reminded me of like bad open mics. You go to a bad open mic and some comedian's just seen Sarah Silverman for the first time and is going to like, you know, talk about their bodily functions for 3 hours. Or, you know, you guys mentioned Judd Apatow earlier. When I was doing open mics back then, at least, you know, Louis C.K. had just started taking off. At least 2 people a night would come up there and be like, I'm basically a stalker. I can't get laid. I'm bad at sex. And that's the kind, I don't know. It just, it feels like not far removed from that style of comedy.
If this book had a book trailer, it might start off with something like, in a world where women like blowjobs as much as men.
And then there'd be a fart sound, and Benny Hill would start playing. Later on, a bulldog would turn its head sideways at some point, and the sound effect would happen, and then Welcome to Sun or Walking on Sunshine would start playing.
Hey now, you're an
My
all-star.
take is that this book had a trailer, it would be the trailer for Trainwreck.
yeah, totally. less John Cena maybe, but you know.
Like,
So I wanted to
Pretty
ask
much.
you guys.
Oh yeah. We need to put a lid on this, or we're gonna blow a later segment though. Anyway, continue.
All right. I wanted to ask you guys: was there a point in this book where you were like, "This is 100% not written by a woman"?
Yes, absolutely, and I can identify that. And it turns out I was wrong, but it's the part where our narrator, in this case, it's a Violet chapter, and she and Alex are about to get down for the first time, and she remembers she has a old filthy bra on, and Alex stops the action to get really judgmental about what she's wearing. And I just felt like it was the most obnoxiously like doodly thing to toss into a female perspective chapter of a book that I had a really hard time with it. And that's when I started thinking like, this is a teenage boy. That and the aforementioned jizz breath.
I never thought that it was written by a man.
It may literally be all perspective, you know?
I don't know. I remember you go through being, like, definitely teenage boys are that gross, but I was also a gross teen at some point, and a gross person there. I've been a gross person in my early to mid to late 20s now as well. But, I mean, there was just, like, all right, it was just, like, leaning on it, like, really, really hard. It's just, I get that the writing can never be, like, you know how some people are always on? Like, the writer is always on. She is never in off mode. In terms of just, like, the constant, like, wow, Sonny, your penis.
It's like Lisa Lampanelli wrote a novel.
Well, the constant boob chat, too. I see why you would be like, maybe a dude wrote this, because it's like, there's nobody I've known who's constantly made the conversation about their boobs that
I mean, it seems like, especially with a circle of female friends, you kind of establish what everybody thinks about their boobs and their friends' boobs, and then you're kind of done, right?
I mean, well, with me and my female friends. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. That question was not for me.
I mean, I know me and all my dude friends, like, we get our dick conversation comparisons out of the way very, very quickly. And then it's just like, you know, you can take it as read. You don't have to, like, relitigate it every fucking time.
Still girthy? Yep, still girthy.
still haven't had that adult circumcision.
Yeah, I actually, this was one of my notes, was what world is this where people just talk about their genitals all the time?
Yeah. So I just wanted to point out that, like, because of some of the reasons that, you know, Rachel, you did a really good job of highlighting, like, the constant grossness, the boobs, the blowjobs, the whatever, stuff that I associate with primarily doodly traits.
Well, I think we're talking about our experience here, and I think what we've all learned a little something today.
Right.
I think what we're describing here isn't necessarily a doodly thing or a lady thing. It's kind of a juvenile thing.
Yeah. I think that's crucial. But, like, I will say that, like, I realized that I 100% did not think that this was written by a dude when I happened to flip through the acknowledgments section because it's like 5 pages long and really detailed.
Oh, I I loved the acknowledgments because it was the most sincere part of the book.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it was so heartfelt.
Whereas, like, men write acknowledgments like fucking Dan Brown. It's
Yeah.
like, this shit came out of my mind. Like, I don't need anyone else's help. I'm your god now.
Yeah, so that I think that was one of the other parts that kind of left me with a good feeling about the book. It was like, oh man, this lady's like really grateful and like really like good at giving credit and being, you know, part of a community.
Well,
Good
she
for
also,
her.
I noted, and that's why the dedications at the beginning were why I Googled the Goodreads, because she acknowledges, like, 3 different either writers groups, or maybe it's 3 different writers groups or, like, subsets,
Oh,
or
yeah,
maybe
it's a
fan
ton.
groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she
Yeah,
knows, like, it's kind of the thing with the same woman who wrote 50 Shades. Like, she goes out of her way. I mean, say what you will about 50 Shades. I think it's a horrible franchise for many reasons and on many levels. But she goes out of her way to appease the fan community. And Helena Hunting, or if that's a pseudonym or not, does the same thing.
If that is your real name.
Yeah.
Ms.
Something tells me
Lampanelli.
Helena Hunting does not have alliteration in her given name.
Old Double H, as I like to call her.
Yeah.
We need to rush this segment along. There's just a couple more things I wanted to point out, and I'll give you two the opportunity to do some house cleaning as well. But one thing I wanted to mention is that there's only really 2 people in this book that qualify as villains. One of them is the man who puts Alex in the hospital. His name is Cockburn. Later on,
I hate him already.
Later on, when they're talking about a guy who left the team who had screwed over some lady that she's friends with, he's mentioned as being named Kale, like the vegetable. So we're in a world where good guys are named Lance and Alex and Buck, and bad guys are named Kale. And that made me really happy. I was just like, look at this fucking vegetarian fucker named Kale.
Yeah, there's a lot
He
of...
probably eats granola.
There's a lot of veganism in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is.
I just have 3 words to say about all that. Relatable AF.
Man, you sound like one of the kids these days. All right, Rachel, do you have just any more quick points you'd like to get off your chest before we go into our games?
I mean, you say the word chest, and now I'm stuck back in the world of this book. I kind of thought it was fascinating how the beginning of the book establishes that they have a great sex life, but at the same time it's them having, like, the mildest of bumps in the road, which is mostly that she can't blow him on the way to work, or that, like, she fell asleep after a long day.
I really like the big moment where he's in the hospital or just freshly out of the hospital, and like it's less than half a paragraph his dick is not fully hard, and this is this nightmare catastrophe that's going to end everything, and then a page later it's fine again.
Yeah.
But like I would have been really interested if this like went down the dark
Oh.
world according to Garp mode,
I
where
didn't
all
even
of a
think
sudden
about that.
he's impotent and it just doesn't happen for them anymore.
They
that
wouldn't-
could have been an interesting book. However, that would not be a good rom-com. That would not be like good wish fulfillment.
They wouldn't have much of a relationship in that case, because I don't think they talk to each other about anything that isn't fucking.
And that would have been an interesting book to read.
Yeah.
It would have been a very different book than this, though.
But anyway, yeah.
Well, yeah, the other point I noticed is how they go out of their way to make her, like, I'm not like regular girls, I'm not a girly girl, but they don't fully, they just, like, throw that in once in a while. Like, they mention that she wears Marvel Comics boxers to bed, which, I don't know, you can just, those are cheap because they're everywhere. So they do that, and then they do, like, I only get my nails done once every 3 weeks, but she's, like, tiny and somehow impossibly curvy. The whole thing's weird.
Yeah, she's tiny. She's got huge boobs. They mention a bunch of times that she's clumsy, but you literally never see her do one clumsy thing in the book. It's just this like, oh shit, I was flipping through the big book of relatability.
Yeah,
What's a trait I can give this character?
They definitely go for she kind of deviates from the traditional Mary Sue, and that she sets up, especially in the first couple chapters, and I'm sure you guys noticed this as well, that she sets up this whole aspect of, like, that's my husband, he likes it when we ride, I mean his dick, we have sex sort of thing. It's it's very by the numbers in the beginning, and because they try to do a double entendre, and then they do a triple entendre, and then they just flatly say what they're saying, which I thought was hysterical.
He looked at my beaver button, by which I mean clitoris, by which I mean a part of my body, by which I mean I've got a body and I use it for sex.
Yeah, it's in chapter.
Sorry,
2?
I'm making myself laugh too much. Sorry.
I hate alarms, especially when I've been up half the night having sex with my fiance. That's the exact beginning of chapter 3.
Yeah, that's
this book is at any point maybe 20 characters longer than a joke tweet you would make about like, hey, I'm a sex haver or something.
This is not the most subtle book.
That's true.
So
what Forever Pucked from the Pucked series isn't training
if that didn't tip you off. Anyway, let's take a quick break, come back and play some really kick-ass games like hockey, which we won't play, and neither did this book.
All right. Not them. Yeah, we back. I don't even own a television, as you already know, because I can't stop reintroducing the show after breaks. This is a bad habit.
I'm Chris Collision.
No, we know that already.
I'm Rachel Millman.
God damn it. We've been talking about Forever Pucked by Helena Hunting.
Wait, who the hell is talking?
I'm Busta Rhymes.
Whoa.
Yo.
You look different off camera.
Yeah, haven't been working out lately. So, anyway,
neither has Busta. I saw him a couple months ago, and I was actually completely enthralled. I didn't expect to see him where I was.
I was watching just our random local New Year's Eve concert thing that they play from a low rent TV station, and Busta Rhymes was performing on it, and it was a little rough. He was one of my favorite rappers as a kid. I don't think he quite has the breath control he once did.
He did really. So when I saw Beyonce, DJ Khaled was listed as her opener, but
we the best.
I'm sorry. Bless up. DJ Khaled was listed as the opener, but what they don't tell you is that he brings on everybody who's been on with his songs with him. So Busta came out, and I lost my absolute gourd at him being on stage because I love Busta. He was in good shape then, so maybe he was in warm up mode for the New Year's Eve concert.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not here to talk about anyone's state of health or the shape of their body, because Lord knows we all have our things to apologize for. But Busta looked like he had been maybe kind of doing a little less working out, let's just say.
You know who's got nothing to apologize for?
Who?
Is Alex, the male protagonist of Forever Pucked.
Segway Doctor Collision in the
because
house.
He's rich and has a big penis.
We never even talked about this, but there's a hint in it that is later clarified. He got into hockey with a background from figure skating. Like, he took up hockey only after retiring from figure skating.
Yeah.
Which means two things. One, that's a huge figure
That's
skater.
what I was just thinking. He's supposed to be a center.
Yeah.
They're giant.
Yeah, and two, hockey, like most sports, is something that most high-level athletes get into very early.
Yeah.
So he's got good hands for a figure skater.
Yeah, I mean, follow your
they
dreams.
Usually take figure skating once they've decided they're going to get into hockey.
They take power skating.
Yeah,
listen.
Definitely. They in the basics, they can do about the same movements,
Yeah, and I mean, I just think of figure skaters as kind of gymnast bodies, I imagine most of the men who are successful at figure skating are probably pretty small And, just the idea of a guy who could transition from that to being the bruisinest motherfucker on the hockey rink.
Like in that documentary, The Cutting Edge.
Yeah, you're totally right. That was okay, after this digression, I swear we'll get to business, but that was one of the movies that came out in the early 90s where they just made movies with the same story about every sport. There was that one, there was Gleaming the Cube, there was BMX and Rad, the skateboarding movie, and it was all just the same fucking story. I don't know. Anyway, sorry. It's a point of annoyance.
It was how they made the same story about a young renegade whose father was a young renegade before him.
Yeah.
Coming into mastering his true skills and gaining peace with his father, and it was always played by Tom Cruise.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like people were really into just swapping settings instead of writing things. But anyway, digression over. Let's play some games.
Woo!
What do you want to start with?
I think we should start with the most popular segment in podcasting history. A little thing I like to call dramatic readings.
Yeah. Okay.
Dramatic readings. We're gonna make it sound important. Dramatic readings. Yeah, I got some words for you.
All right, dramatic readings. This is a part where we take pieces from a book and we read them to you. Be forewarned, put on your headphones.
Yeah, you are going to need your headphones for this one.
If you have kids for some reason that listen to this podcast with you, distract them.
They're about to learn some shit.
Yeah, have some educational tools on hand.
Yeah. Grab the banana and the condom.
Oh, man. Okay, so Collision. Why don't you set this up?
All right.
I know I've already been warned off mic that this is going to be raunchy, so oh boy, here we go.
This is great, and it's particularly great because it follows hard on the dairy scene that Rachel happened to read earlier. So
You said hard.
I did. I said hard on.
I guess I did. Sorry.
You could touch it instead. I cringe at my pleading tone. I earn more than $8 million a year. I'm team captain and center. I have the second best scoring stats in the league. My cock is huge. I'm nice to look at, and I'm in great physical condition. I shouldn't have to beg my fiancée to touch my dick. She should want to ride it every minute of every day. In my fantasies, anyway. In reality, I know that's not how life works. I don't think a handy is a good idea either. Still too distracting. Besides, we're already here. She gestures to her work, which I almost drive past. Instead, I double park and piss off the cars behind me.
Cool.
I'll see you tonight. She leans over and kisses me, then lowers her head and plants one on the head of my poor, throbbing cock. I'll suck you later. Popping back up without so much as a lick or a stroke, she smiles brightly. Thanks for driving me in. I better get out before someone goes ballistic behind us. Honking follows, so she opens the door. I love you. A cold gust of wind forces me to tuck my hard-on back into my sweats. No problem. See you. She slams the door and runs into the building, leaving me and my raging blue balls alone. Another horn blasts behind me, so I take my foot off the brake and move along. I keep one hand on the wheel and the other holding my handle all the way home. As soon as I'm inside, I rub one out.
Oh, Jesus.
Leaning against the side door, I manage to make it to the laundry room, where I come in the sink. The ache in my balls makes it less enjoyable than it should be. Also, Violet's hands are much softer than mine, which is a huge factor in how good it feels. After I'm done sorting out my issues, I call Darren to see if he wants to hit the gym early.
I beg to differ, sir. You have many issues that are not sorted out by quote-unquote rubbing one out, my friend. I just want to point out that our sexy hero rose to drop his wife off at work in sweatpants with no underwear. Like the sleazy guy at a strip club.
I mean, he didn't have time to put on pants like a grown-up because he was making a bagel.
He's making a sex bagel.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Rachel, are you ready?
No, but also sure. So the question I had for you guys is that I could do something selected, or we could play roulette where I flip to any page, because any page
we're doing
in here is gross.
First one, then
Sorry?
the other.
Yep.
Just like Alex would do.
Yeah, we have Russian roulette coming up next anyway.
Oh, true. Okay. All right. In that case, let me find my selected paragraph.
Okay, I'll go while you find it, and then that way we can roll right into yours.
Yes.
Because all right. So I'm gonna go next. This is one of our serious conversations. This occurs at the hospital.
I mean, could it be more serious than the one we just heard?
Oh, this one's way more serious. This is from Violet's point of view. Alex is in the hospital. His parents have just showed up. He has not resolved being conscious, regained consciousness. That's the phrase I'm looking for. He has not done that, and they don't know if he's going to be all right. It's really touch and go. And so this is Alex talking to her fiance's mother. He loves hard, and for once, I didn't mean it in a pervy way. He does everything hard. I'm almost certain Daisy doesn't mean that in a pervy way either. I also don't think Alex will be doing anything hard right now. I'm not even sure he can get hard. Well, okay, he can get hard. I saw him sporting a semi a few times in the hospital. But I don't know that he has the energy to do anything with it. Keep in mind, this man is not conscious. Sitting around isn't going to be easy for him. He gets pent up a lot. Daisy seems to miss my accidental inappropriate reference. He'll find a way to manage himself, I'm sure, she says. I doubt he'll achieve that by whacking off constantly, but that's where my mind goes. Maybe because I haven't had an orgasm in days, and now that we're home, I can. Not now, but later. When everyone else is sleeping, I can get out Buddy and give myself a little beaver bang. Sorry, I stifle a laugh through the sniffles, so it sounds snort-cry-ish. I can stay as long as you need me, of course. Thanks, Daisy. I know how much Alex loves your cooking. I could teach you to make some of Alex's favorites while I'm here if you want, she offered. You do that? Her electric pink lips spread until her dimples appear. Of course, he loves breakfast for dinner, so I thought we could make omelets tonight. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to teach you how to make all of his special favorites, like omelets, for dinner.
Later, she fucks up her own omelet.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good.
That's
She
where they
makes more
make
of
her
a
very
scramble.
Mary Sue, that she can't cook.
Yeah, exactly. She's so relatable.
But no, I just love the idea of like having this entire conversation with the mom that's still like played as a comedy moment when it's like, we don't know if your son's going to live or die. Here's a sex joke.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay, Rachel.
mine is prepared.
Go for it.
Okay. Do you want the lead up on this or no?
You know, if you want to provide some context, go ahead. Otherwise, feel free to start right out.
They, Violet and her friends Sunny and Charlene are discussing how the sex has changed now that Alex has been injured. All right. Mm-hmm. He didn't pull a groin muscle. Super MC still works fine. It has more to do with Alex's level of frustration than anything. He's used to having a lot of stamina, and at the moment, well, he doesn't, so I have to do all the work. Anyway, it's good that I've been doing all that yoga with Sunny, because my legs are getting a serious workout. Sex makes my abs hurt. Right? Charlene exclaims. Some days it feels like I've done a P90X workout after a night with Darren. Especially after away games. Sunny should come up with some kind of pre-sex yoga ritual so I don't walk like a robot for 3 days afterward. I'm joking about it because otherwise I'm at risk of crying. I'm all over the place today with the emotions. Agreed. We're silent for a minute. Charlene probably because she's thinking about all the sex she's been having and will be having tonight, and me because I'm thinking about all the sex I'm missing. Well, it's not that the sex is missing, it's that Alex isn't in the right condition in the right condition to bang on the beaver the way he usually does.
Oh.
While we're all giggling, I just want to say I'm all over the place today with the emotions is also my favorite line from Cormac McCarthy.
Oh, man. Bang on the Beaver is also my favorite Bow Wow Wow song. So.
My third favorite Ramones song.
I don't want to work. I want to bang on the Beaver all day. Oh,
Shit.
I think that's a really bad tweet I made in 2012, which I have to delete now.
Wow. I think... Did you want to read more of that passage, or have we...
No, I'm good. The thing is that, because, like, I get that I'm reading smut, but I don't know. I don't want to engage in too much free phone sex, essentially.
Yeah, that's a valid point for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do one more reading-based segment then, and Russian roulette.
Russian roulette, Russian roulette, Russian roulette, not actually Russian.
So I took the liberty of pre-generating a few random numbers last night in a moment of solitude and reflection. And then when I was looking at them, I happened to realize that they mapped really well to the three of us. So if you will allow me, I would like to take these randomly generated numbers and ask you to read one. They are random, but half assigned. So if that's okay, can I give you guys your numbers?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, Rachel, you will be first on deck.
Rachel, let's go up first. Can you turn, please, to page 79?
79. Okay.
Great year. Year I was born. All right.
Nice. All right. Page 79. Okay. Charlene lowers her beer and shoots hate beams out of her eyes at me. What? I know there's stuff that's fruity and stuff that warms up and stuff that has silicone and stuff that's water soluble, I say, defending my lube knowledge. We should go sex toy shopping, my mom says. Charlene grins. It's horribly evil. You're right, Sky. We totally should, and we can bring Sunny and Lily along. It'll be so much fun. We can do that for your bachelorette party. Vi, once you've picked a date for the wedding... Ooh, that's a great idea, my mom claps. You've picked a date for the wedding? Sunny asks, leaning over. I scratch my nose with my middle finger at Charlene, who's still wearing her evil smile. I turn to Sunny. Not yet. We're trying to figure out what works best.
Oh, boy.
I scratch my nose with my middle finger, said the not-at-all 13-year-old.
Hey, I got something for you in my pocket. What is it? Oh, here it is! Oh, you looked at the circle. I get to punch you in the dick.
Jay, if you're ready, I would like you to turn to page 251.
I don't think I'm ready.
For this jelly?
It's too bootylicious.
This jelly in your pants?
Yeah. You specifically picked this to upset me, didn't you?
These were randomly generated.
What kind of videos? Violet arches a brow. What kind do you think? How do you know that? I seriously hope she hasn't seen one. She told me, and she showed me one. She showed you a sex video? We might overshare a lot of information, but not that much, Alex. He made a video that time he came to Guelph to see her. She'd fallen asleep on him, and I guess part of the deal was no sleeping, so he videoed her. He made a video of Lily while she was sleeping? Don't say it like that. It's not creepy. It was sweet and kinda hot. Violet gets this faraway look in her eyes before she shakes her head. Anyway, he made a video of him waking her up. I don't understand why that's hot or what it has to do with sex videos. Agreed. Well, he was waking her up to have sex again, and it ends on a kiss. She flutters a hand in front of her face. Ring! Anyway, we should make some videos like that. I don't think we should use your phone if we do, since you've lost 2 in the past year. We could use your phone since you don't lose yours. We could. I'm totally down with making sex videos with Violet. I'll have to watch them wearing headphones since she's exuberant in bed, but I can live with that. I would love to make a video of me sliding my dick between her tits. Okay, we're done with this. Oh dear. This is porn. This is porn. That's what this book is.
All right, and for my page, we are flipping back a bit to page 189, and it goes a little something like this. I remember every detail of the night Alex and I met, from Alex throwing a snit in the penalty box to him smashing into the plexiglass and scaring the living crap out of me. I remember how pretty his eyes were and how I got caught there. I remember the immediate drooling in my panties and how it amplified when he got into the fight. I remember him sitting next to me in the bar, his rock-hard arm brushing mine. I tried so hard not to look directly at him, because his chiseled jaw and his sexy, beat-up face were hotter than I wanted them to be. His face is in a similar state right now. I also remember my mortification over flashing the entire team my ridiculous bra, and I toking my cigarette when I ran away from him and indulged in my fake habit. And later, I remember my shock and awe over the unveiling of the Super MC, my accidental cock-love chanting, and how sweet Alex was, and how even though I ran away from him again, he kept pursuing me, because he knew then what it took me months to figure out. We belong together. I don't think we mentioned that, when she's in the throes of orgasm, apparently she chants, I love your cock, over and over and over again.
Like fans at a hockey game.
Yeah, relatable.
Yeah.
She also does the wave a couple times while they're having sex. It's really weird. Like,
For some reason, a beach ball keeps getting tossed around.
I think of, like, the scene in Bad Santa when she's fucking him in the hot tub and just keeps saying fucking Santa, but it's I love your cock over and over again.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? We don't have to read from this anymore. That's awesome. Let's play another game here called What is Your Fave?
What is your fave? What is your fave? When you're presented with a list of options, what is your fave?
All right. This one's going to be easy. I'm just going to ask you guys a question, and I have a list of names. What's your favorite character whose name is also a dumb sex joke? And your options are William Stroker, Randy Balls, Lily White Balls, Cockburn, Lance, or in an amazing feat of meta-narrative, a dress designer who is described as having a name that is another word for penis. So...
yeah.
Yep, collision.
It was definitely that last one, because I had to stop and think about it, and it took me more minutes than I'm happy to admit to realize that they were looking at a rack full of dresses by Vera Wang.
I didn't even put two and two together. I thought the book was poking fun at itself. Everyone in this book's name means cock, basically, so... I don't know. Maybe it was a find and replace for later. But you're totally right. Rachel, do you have a favorite?
I think William Stroker was my favorite, because that's like they introduced him early on in the book that you read it and you think you're having a stroke.
Yeah.
and then like you're being messed with, because it's like, no, there's no way there's as many dick names. I'm just being a child.
Yeah, and then it goes on. He's like, call me William, not Mr. Stroker. And she's like, I won't, because I thought his name was hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is great names. And I also think that, like, isn't there a character whose name is Ballistic?
It's Randy Balls Ballistic.
Randy Balls Ballistic.
It's Randy Balls.
Which Balls Ballistic is not a hockey player. That's like the guy who fills in on guitar for Rancid.
I was going to say, that's Balls Ballistic is 100% my, like, bad lyrics, technical thrash band.
At one point in the book, he's described as having like a very nice beard, and then all the women in the book wax rhapsodic about his beard for a couple pages, so I liked that part. But it still didn't stop me from imagining him with like Liberty spikes and like a jacket with a huge back patch on it that says crass or something.
I liked the beard conversation a lot, because it's the only time I've seen in a book somebody admit to doing what I admitted I did when I had a full beard, which is condition that fucker.
Taking care of it?
Yeah, you got to.
All right, well, we're going to take a break and go ballistic, so we'll be back. Here's some Rancid.
Yeah. Here's All-Star.
Yeah. And here's Wonderwall.
Yeah.
Welcome back. It's time to wrap things up here, which we usually do by talking about things that are better than the thing that we just put in our things. So, yeah. And by...
Whoa.
Yeah, I meant head, and now I just can't stop thinking like Beavis and Butthead because I read this fucking book, and like everything makes me giggle. If I hear the word throb in any context, like over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to bust out laughing.
I mean, it's definitely true. You definitely texted me, settle down, Beavis, while we were reading this.
No, at one point, I'll admit this. At one point a couple nights ago, I had maybe a few too many beers, and I came home and I was reading this book, and like I kept doing Beavis and Butthead voices out loud to myself. Like, you said hard. And like, yeah, I guess I did. So that's been happening a lot. Thanks, Helena.
Kind of impossible not to do it to this book. But again, to me, that's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't, I guess the word is like a snicker. I haven't done a lot of that lately. So this filled my quota for the next 10 years. All right, so we're going to do recommendations of things that don't suck. So, Collision, how about you start us off?
Yeah, recommendation-wise, this is going to be very, very predictable, but as I said, this book left me wanting more hockey. Mm-hmm. And if you want a raunchy hockey tale...
Oh, damn it.
It really starts and ends with a little documentary written by Nancy Dowd called Slapshot.
Yeah, oh, God, I love that movie.
That is... both really gross, really funny, and actually really interesting and kind of heartfelt. Couldn't recommend it more highly. And it's sort of the grosser but also more literary version of this book. So look up Slapshot. You'll get to see Paul Newman in a role that will guarantee surprise you, and a lot of Canadians. So
a lot of cool glasses, too.
Oh, yeah. Exceptionally.
Also, I guess I'll go right after this because it's remarkably close to what I was going to recommend, to the point where I thought you were about to recommend the same thing, which is a more recent hockey movie called Goon.
Damn it!
Which was, son of a bitch. It's really, really funny. I would check it out. It stars one of those three named fellas from the 90s who I can't remember.
Sean William Scott.
That's it, yeah. I did not want to say Stifler because I'm embarrassed that that's my one frame of reference.
Whatever. His name is Stifler.
Yeah, it probably is. It's like that poor McLovin kid.
He's friend to pie fucker. That is his entire career.
Anyway, but yeah, Goon is actually surprisingly good and kind of along the same lines. It's definitely a modern reworking of a Slapshot kind of story, a little less violent, but it's good.
It's also the only thing Liev Schreiber has ever been good in. Come at me.
I kind of agree.
Ooh, that's fighting words, but he's really good. That's the entire movie. Like, I love Goon. It's what I was thinking of the whole time. It's just like, man, this is really missing the subtleties of Goon, which ends with his nose being shattered.
Yeah. This is missing the subtlety of a Jay Baruchel joint featuring Stifler.
Yeah.
It's so good, though.
It's
I love
really good.
Goon. Since I can't say Goon, I guess a thing I've been enjoying is, it's not hockey related, but Atlanta is a really good TV show.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
Atlanta is phenomenal, and like by the time, I mean, it's already probably a little late, but like I'm blown away by how good it is and how good the writing is on Atlanta. So,
yeah.
A+.
Just
Agreed.
since we all recommended visual things, I want to throw out, I had a minor moment where I wanted to play Cast the Movie, and my whole joke was going to be, since the main character is supposed to be a small brunette, I wanted it to be Winona Ryder from Stranger Things. Just like really nervously chain smoking and screaming through the whole movie.
Yeah, that would be great. One more thing I wanted to mention that you just reminded me of when you mentioned Slapshot is there's also a band that is completely based on the movie Slapshot called the Hanson Brothers, not to be confused with Hanson. It's fellas from No Means No and a few other bands from whatever small Canadian city they're from, and they play like Ramones-inspired punk that is almost completely about hockey.
Yeah, and it's,
that sounds awesome.
It is amazing. They are one of the best live shows I've ever seen. And they've been top of mind for me recently because while we were reading this book, No Means No called it quits, which is literally heartbreaking for me.
In a weird serendipitous moment, the day before I read that on the internet, it was when I was in LA for Podfest. I randomly saw a guy with a No Means No shirt and was like, whoa, awesome shirt. And then the next day I like went to check news on the internet and it's like, No Means No has retired. And I'm like, that's a fucking bummer.
Yeah.
So I hadn't thought about them in a long time. And then the first time I did, they went and took it all away from me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thanks for tuning in to our No Means No cast.
Why did they call me Mr. Happy? A No Means No cast. Anyway, Rachel, it's been wonderful having you on the show again.
Thank you so much for having me on again. I also want to, this is going to sound really self-aggrandizing, but it's not. Every time I get a warm reception in the Facebook group, it's like the nicest thing I've ever seen, and I want to thank you guys for facilitating that. I want to thank the people who like to listen to me like weirdly cackle on here. It is so validating. It means a lot. Thank you so much.
No, it's always so much fun, and definitely, like, you are a fan favorite in a lot of ways, and it's because you're a joy to have on the show, and we appreciate it every time.
Thank you guys. It's so nice. Thank you for letting me read another. Like, all the other two books we've read, we expected to be, like, kind of porny. And then this one, like, we finally hit the mark. We finally read some porn.
It made up for it, for sure. How can people stay in touch with you if they want to do so and see what you're up to?
People can stay in touch with me via Twitter. It's just my name, Rachel Millman. They can email at me if they want, if they're not being too weird, at rachelemillman@gmail.com. Those are the best two ways to keep in touch with me. Yeah, that's it. That's about it.
Okay, cool.
Sounds great. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
For hitting the ice with Forever Pucked.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you later.
All right, bye.
So I understand we got a lot of letters.
A, letter B, letter C, letter D, letter E, letter M, letter G, letter, got a lot of letters.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's get this kicked off. This is the greatest subject line I will ever read for this show. So, all others are number 2 or lower.
Okay.
And it goes a little something like this. Book suggestion from a weed dad.
All right. That is great. Did anybody mention on the show yet? I don't think we did. The phrase weed dad has now appeared on atlasobscura.com.
Yes.
And it's credited to us. That made me feel really happy. It's an article about the Conch Republic, too. Look it up.
So good. Yeah, look it up. It's actually a really weird and cool article.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff on Atlas Obscura is great. It was kind of an honor, I gotta say. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway, weed dads spilling out, hitting the world, and sliding into our inbox with a recommendation.
Awesome.
And it goes a little something like this. I read Anthem when I was 17. I was greatly impressed, being very impressionable at that age. Then I read The Fountainhead, which turned out to have as its big climactic courtroom scene a tired anti-communist rant, such as I'd been listening to my parents make fun of my whole life. That cured me of Ayn Rand. Sometime later, I saw a fellow student reading Anthem. That's stupid, I said. No, it's not. She protested earnestly. So I have to thank Ayn Rand for giving me, if indirectly, a chance to feel superior. Something so rare during my adolescence that I still remember it. Which I think is super excellent.
Let's be honest. A lot of us who read a lot in high school, I think that's what we were after.
Yeah. And then there's a PS with this that I just love. Most dreadful book ever. Unless you've already reviewed it. If you have, how far back in the archives do I have to look for it? P.S. My daughter told me about your podcast. She's 24. I'm 66. I subscribe.
That's awesome.
And this is just such a great little series of emails. We did handle it long ago. Second episode, actually. Long before I was on.
Yeah.
But doesn't matter. Greatest email ever.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So thank you very much for that. If there are any other weed dads out there, please stand up and make yourselves known.
And if you want to buy a keg for the party, then no one's going to drink and drive. It's just safer that way.
Exactly. The other letter I wanted to read goes a little something like this. Outward Blonde by Trish, fake last name, October 18th. Hi. I wanted to see if you may be interested in covering or reviewing the paperback release of Outward Blonde by Trish, fake last name. Trish, fake last name, is the author of 4 YA novels. Her personal essays have appeared in Gray's Literary Magazine and Spittoon, and she is currently completing her memoir, tentatively titled Bret Michaels at the Symphony.
What?
When she's not writing, Trish is a runner, rower, music, and pop culture fanatic. I just want to say that sentence structure is that she runs, she rows, she is music, and she's a pop culture fanatic. It goes on a lot about what Outward Blonde might be like. I'm just going to say, if you know what Outward Bound is, you know what this book is about.
What?
It's a YA book about a blonde sent to Outward Bound.
I was thinking of Homeward Bound, the movie with the dog and the cat on an adventure.
Now, that would be amazing.
Okay, never mind. I thought maybe it was a movie about a brunette and a blonde floating down a river in a barrel.
I 100% think that if that is the sequel, we should do that sequel. Anyway, it concludes. Please let me know if you would be interested in covering/reviewing the book. I can also check the author's availability for possible interviews. And I would just like to say to the writer of this email, thanks for thinking of us. It's pretty obvious you haven't listened to an episode.
I'm guessing not. However, if your client does decide to write Homeward Blonde, we'd be more than happy to have her on. That sounds right up our alley.
Exactly, 100%. And I can't promise I'll enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Forever Pucked.
Does this mean we've kind of made it? We're getting random like spam from publicists that don't listen to the show?
Yeah, only if it means that I've made it, because I occasionally get publicity emails about weird indie bands.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right.
Yeah, so please don't send us your mixtape.
Do send us your bad writing, though, for NaNoWriMo.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, starting next episode, we're going to read a few of those selections. Write one paragraph of the worst thing you can. Send it to idon'tevenowntelevision@gmail.com with the subject line NaNoWriMo.
Yeah.
Try to make us laugh. We're going to read the ones we like. The best one is going to get some sort of prize, which is yet to be determined.
We've had a couple questions. What is a paragraph exactly? Does that mean I can't use dialogue? What a paragraph is a chunk of text. Of course, you can use dialogue. What I will say, and I've said this to some people who've asked, imagine you're listening to somebody else's and you don't think it's that funny. How long would you give it before you turned the podcast off? Try to keep it under that.
Oh, wait, nope. If I see a line break, you're out of here, buddy.
Yeah.
No, obviously paragraph we're using loosely here. Just a concise piece of writing, let's say. You know about the length we can go with dramatic readings.
Exactly. And I will just say that I've been keeping an eye on them as they come in. The bar is either very high or very low, depending on what your tastes are like. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Please contribute to the fun. I don't even own a television at gmail.com. Also, keep up with us on Twitter, IDEO Pod. Same on Facebook, IDEO TV Pod. You can join the Party Pit. Just search IDEO TV Funtime Party Pit. What else? Oh, we have a live show coming up that we should plug. We are going to take part in a reading organized by Litquake here in San Francisco, California. That's going to go down October 8th between 7:30 and 9:30 at the Elbow Room.
That is true. If you saw previous things saying it was at the makeout room, the location has been changed to a different room.
Right. But, still in San Francisco, still in the beautiful Mission District, which is not completely yet colonized by assholes. And it's going to be fun. Tickets are just about sold out. I might have one extra, so hit us up if it is sold out and you absolutely have to come. But come out, it's going to be great. The event is called I Thought It Sucked. It's bad reviews of good books, and it is going to be a hoot.
Yeah, definitely come check that out. Keep in touch with us, and most importantly, keep reading crap.
Drop the puck.